favorites, the crowd favorites. In fact, actually no, the crowd favorites, let's be real here, it's FPX. Am I biased? Yes. But really, Game 1, pick 1 is Renekton. Of course, this is a flex between solo laners, and of course, this is the LPL's favorite champion. Of course, this doesn't mean that we're just gonna see LNG focus in on the top side, but it does show potential. Meanwhile, on the side of FPX, looks like they're going for the more scaling pick in the jungle with the Diana, so clear is really going to be his priority. Interestingly enough, the Viego, of course, has fallen off, as has the Xin Zhao has been banned out, as has the Lee Sin, and we all know that Tian's Lee Sin is one of the iconic picks of this man right here. In fact, of League history, dating back to 2019 World, and it looks like they're settled on putting LWX onto the scaling champion LNG. They're a bit of a reveal of information here. What will they go for their jungler? So they do have the Trundle pick still available. I mean, Trundle is still quite a strong jungler, very strong in the early game, can definitely outduel a Diana. Looks like they're thinking of going for the Ashe, in which case this is really pretty much the quintessential 2020 pick. If the Ashe does come through, will we see a Leona coming in here? Maybe an engaged support, a Nautilus. They could also opt to pick their junglers. There aren't that many available. There's the Graves. The Grave is still available. Nocturne as well. Kind of finding it hard to consider what other junglers there are, and thinking about it now, they're gonna start pinching the pool. Nidalee, they had a chance to lock in Nidalee if they wanted to, if they so chose, but it looks like that's not what they're going to ultimately go for. And this is more likely than not going to be a Doing B Irelia, because of course he's been practicing this champion so much. This is Doing B. He plays so many bruisers in the mid lane, and they really don't need to reveal their top laner. That being said, by the looks of it, LNG solo lanes have both been locked in already at this point in time. FPX, I'm most definitely certain we're going to see a Nidalee ban coming out here, followed by perhaps a support ban. But at this point, you can look to ban out the Nautilus or Leona if you're FPX, and then pick the other one that isn't banned out if your opponent doesn't ban it out. But I 100% expect a Nidalee ban to come through as well. Trundle ends up being the FPX event because, again, LNG, I like the way they're going. They're going for the early game aggression. FPX, on the other hand, do have a strong lane to play through with Doing B, who, of course, Irelia against range matchups is kind of her forte. She just does so well in laning phase. And then they've got the good scaling to rely on with Tian, with LWX onto the Aphelios. Meanwhile, on the side of LNG, really now the question becomes, how can we further attack the top lane? And FPX, acknowledging this, they realize this, they're banning out two very strong junglers who can take over the early game, facilitate dives, can be extremely tanky. LNG now, you've taken away the Ngar, that's a safety pick. Cannon is most likely going to be what FPX go for, which is going to be a bit heavy onto the AP side. So will they opt to ban it? There is, of course, maybe the Gwen who is available, but I don't think Renekton's particularly scared of that. The set is, of course, a viable pick as well. And it looks like LNG wanting to take away the team fight engage, and of course Crisp is giggling to himself. Jax is something that LNG did prioritize banning a lot away from TES in the two games ago. And now I'm going to be really surprised if that's going to be a queen. Yeah, Kennen is... Everyone can see this Kennen coming because 1, it's Nuguri. 2, he's got a skin for it, so it's Nuguri. And of course, it fits so well into this short range team. Renekton's short range, LeBlanc has mobility, but Ashe is really short range. Of course, her ult can be quite annoying. And I'm pretty sure their last pick is going to be a Nautilus or a Leona, something of those sorts. LNG, on the other hand, with their jungle and support picks, they do have the set available, I suppose, but what will they put into the jungle role is my question. You can, of course, pick the Graves and try to dominate through the jungle route. Set as a support, however, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Because, of course, Set, you know, you have to be really aggro or you're kind of gonna fall off really hard. Now let's not forget, Iwandi played a magnificent Trundle in Game 4 versus TES, somehow being all over the place despite not actually having much engage. Nocturne, of course, is a great option here, so it's a really heavy dive potential coming out from LNG. It's a smash the R button and go in. Viego doesn't really change that very much over here. He's just the team fight reset win condition coming out from LNG, and it looks like FPX like what they see. They like the fact that there's going to be 3 melee champions, 1 key Ashe ultimate to tank with the Unbreakable, as well as almost the entirety of the LeBlanc combo, and they are going to lock in the Braum over the Thresh, over the Tahm Kench. And right now I have to tell you, LNG are stepping quite far out of their comfort zone. We're used to seeing LNG play more to the scaling, play more to the mid game, play more together, and FPX are the ones we generally see want to focus in on the top side of the map and really snowball the game, closing it out in about 20 20, 25, maybe 30, 28 to 30 minutes. So right now, FPX actually are the ones with the advantage in terms of the scale. Now, LWX does need to be a little bit careful because Icon potentially could be a huge threat for him. But with Chris standing next to him, there's really good potential that Icon will not be able to get his burst off. Right now, I must say, based off the team compositions, based off what I'm seeing here, I think LNG are stepping a bit more outside of their comfort zone. It is of course generally more difficult to be proactive than it is to be reactive, and right now FPX composition kind of facilitates reactivity. Of course, it also allows for proactivity. You have a pushing top lane with the cannon. You have more likely than not a stable, maybe even winning mid lane at about level 4 to 6 point with the Aurelia in the mid lane. So, where can LNG play through? Well, based on their composition, they're most likely going to want to play through topside. Of course, they do have the set flash into the face breaker engage in the bot side, followed up by the continuous slow of the Ashe passive that they can also look to play through in the bot side. And of course, you do have the mid lane where you might need to really watch out for your mid laner, because Doingby has been practicing a lot. He's honestly playing so exceptionally well as the game goes on, as 4 conquerors coming out from the side of FPX Nuguri. Interestingly enough, will we be seeing an on-hit cannon in this game? I really hope not, because I don't think that's going to be very effective. That is one potential way that FPX could be losing this game right off the bat. I fully expect this to be an AP cannon, but I'm ready. Though I'm not really looking forward to being proven wrong here by Nuguri. So again, we're going to expect FPX to probably play more defensively, considering the fact they don't have really the strength in the early game. Tien's going to want to make sure that Nuguri doesn't get snowballed upon, doesn't get doven, the wave doesn't get frozen in unfortunate position. Tarzan isn't able to snowball that lane, and then Tien can also play through mid lane. Of course, FPX are pretty much synonymous for Doingby facilitating for his team, and of course the power duo of Doingby and Tien just impacting the entirety of the map. Notably though, very notably, one of the weakest points of FPX has been recorded as being the bottom lane, with LWX and Chris being their main focus for a lot of teams, especially EDG with their insanely mechanical, fantastically tuned bot lane duo of Viper and Mako. Absolutely phenomenal. Now the level 1s are kind of even in the bot side because Set is incredibly strong, but so is the Braum passive. I would say overall though, Set might have a little bit more strength, as well as the Ashe, which you really cannot run away from with these slows. And if you look at both of these mid laners, look at the champion oceans that they just have at their disposal. Doingby and Icon both playing 17 champions each. Now, I would argue that Doingby generally plays champions that he is more comfortable with, and therefore tends to have a better showing. While Icon, on the other hand, many times we have seen him fall kind of far behind, as we've seen like the Xerath game against TES, I think it's the game that they dropped to TES, they really didn't do so well. Now both junglers are going to be starting towards the bot side, making their way up towards top side, because again, main point of contestation, if you have a Renekton on your team, he generally wants to play strong side, especially when you have an Ashe and a Set towards the bottom side. They're really just facilitators for the mid-game playmaking potential. So right now, if you're LNG, your intentions have been made clear to FPX right off the bat, ever since the draft. You want to play towards this top side. And right now, Ale is not, he's keeping up in terms of CS. Doesn't look like he's being zoned at all. Doesn't look like he's trading his HP for this wave very much. In fact, it looks like the auto attacks coming through from Nuguri has resulted in the wave pushing into Nuguri. In fact, as a result, this is a pretty decent build-up of a wave here, as Ale actually jump in very aggressively onto Nuguri, trading very effectively, but Nuguri with the return trade as he is running will be able to equalize. Overall, Nuguri does need to be careful because Ale has put him at a low HP total, so there is potential for Ale to get a flash in there with the Ruthless Predator, but Ale is being careful. The hawk shot coming in does not actually manage to spot out Tien, who's managed to dodge between the vision pools. Tarzan is in the river, he is taking the Scuttle Crab. Meanwhile, in the bot side, LNG are also going to pick up the other Scuttle Crab, which means Ale might soon be signal that he is going to be in a deep pit of trouble. As stun does go through, looks like Tien is going to accept the fact that he's going to get double scuttled as a result of not having mid or bot prio, or top lane actually. Surprisingly, Ale actually managed to get the push on without trading too much of his HP. So a slight misplay coming in here from Nuguri, and as a losing jungle matchup, this is all you can really expect to happen as Tien on the Diana. Now doing B here, good idea to get that ward out. Actually looking to try and outplay this as Iwandi flashes right into the blades, right into the stun, and now Iwandi nearly taken out by the tower. The last shot coming in, the flash through with the crescent sweep, and Tien wasn't even necessary as doing B outplaying a 1 versus 3 tower dive. You can't touch this man. He's too good. And yet again though, as we record, maybe we're gonna come back to this in a moment as the Winter's Bite actually does land onto Icon. One auto attack coming in from Tien, but it is not enough. Dragon is spawning in 40 seconds time, but again, as we saw in the TES game, Iwandi getting the first roam up here, you know, way ahead of the opposing support, and unfortunately, this time it didn't really go in his favor. A beautiful stun by doing B. It's almost as though, I don't know if he was trying to actually hit Icon, expecting Icon to use his distortion forward, or he was predicting the flash in, but he positioned the stun so that it pretty much instantly hit Iwandi as he flashed. Now, he has disappeared into his bot side, which is causing all kinds of havoc, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, let's see, watch here. Who is he going for? It looks like he's actually aiming for, yeah, I think he was aiming for Icon actually, and then using his W, the Blades Dance was enough to just allow him to pick up this kill. And doing B, man's not even phased, man's not even smiling. It's just to be expected. And with the new Irelia build, of course, maxing W for the additional resistances, and we saw just how effective it was over there, as he pretty much just stood under his tower, and he was just about as tanky as one of those things were. Now he's stepping forward pretty aggressively, does need to be careful. However, Crisp is in the area, so maybe Icon is the one who needs to be careful, as down comes the stun. Actually managed to tag him, flash forward with the Winter's Bite, and now Icon with the last stack of the passive onto him as well. Tien tries to jump in to maybe try and secure a little bit of an assist. Unfortunately, it looks like he will not be rewarded for that. And Crisp, even though he does not rotate first, I suppose the quality of his rotations are higher than Iwandi's in this situation. And now it looks like he's gonna instantly get dove as the Winter's Bite comes in. Unfortunately, the Haymaker is there. Crisp tanking out maybe one too many tower shots, barely survives as Iwandi does go down under tower. Doing B taken so incredibly low. Tarzan is not level 6, does not have his flash available. Needs to be careful, however. He's trying to get his reset onto Doing, but Doing B will have his stacks up soon. Sorry. Will have his cooldowns up soon, especially of his E. So an absolute beautiful play coming in here from Doing B and Crisp. Now Tarzan needs to be careful, because I don't think you can take a 1v2 situation here. If enough of the CC lands, basically that one blade dance, I think it's called, then you are absolutely doomed. Now there's a TP coming in from behind. It is Iwandi. He does have the Summoner's Unsealed Spellbook. I'm sorry, he's level 4 to the level 6 of Crisp. LWX is actually level 6 to level 4 of both of LNG's bot laners, as a very nice flash comes through. Unfortunately, the speed up coming in from the Q, he sidesteps away from the Haymaker, but it is not enough, as eventually the tag team duo Iwandi absolutely showing up to this game. And even if you try once and fail, try again. Now Ale popping the Dominus, getting ready, preempting. Unfortunately, Lightning Surge has been used by Nuguri, and in comes Tarzan and Icon from the jungle as well as the mid lane. This may be a potential dive here, but Ale, unfortunately, Dominus popped way too early. Lightning Surge has even come off of cooldown, and an unfortunate turn of events. Ale jumping the gun there a little bit. But to his credit, Ale is actually ahead in terms of CS right now, so he is naturally ahead in terms of gold. But so far, you gotta say Nuguri is doing a fantastic job ensuring that that gold lead stays relatively insignificant. And Tarzan, after all, has not been able to impact the map very much, but it looks like Doing B is gonna be baited into here. But fortunately, he does have the wave to save him, as Tarzan needs to be careful as the Moonfall that can come in. Icon's passive in this instance can be kind of used against him. Dragon has been up for a little bit, but Rift Herald, the more important objective for snowballing the game, is going to be spawning in about 20 seconds time. LNG are going to want to take this. By the way, not quite sure what happened in the bot lane with LWS getting to level 6 before either Light or Iwandi. And based off the CS that we get to observe, I assume LWX was just zoning Light from the entire wave, as Iwandi and Chris managed to roam up and down. It's kind of interesting, but as a result, I think now they can look to try and rotate LWX up, because if they keep leaving him in the side lanes, Iwandi is just going to keep on trying to look for an opportunity to jump onto him, especially with the Hex Flash as well as the movement speed coming in from the Q. Icon might be jumped in here, but we're going to look towards the top side. Lightning Surge managed to stun out Ale, but he counter stuns him with the Ruthless Predator, and now Ale is going for the all-in. Unfortunately, does not have Dominus available. Flash is forced out, but a Flash follow is in pursuit, and Nuguri somehow manages to survive. Will have his Q in about a second's time. Good idea with the control ward coming in from Ale, but Doing B and TES Tien have rotated up first. Chris has been left behind. Tarzan and Icon are trying to rip him apart. He's only level 4 to the level 7 and level 6, but in comes the move for taking both Iwandi and Icon. Icon nearly immediately getting incinerated, but alas, it's a 1-for-1 now. Tien flashing out of the fight. In comes Tarzan with the brown passive to stun him up. Haymaker comes through, eliminating him as well, but Iwandi is traded back. Doing B is in between two people. Nuguri is trying to save him. Unfortunately, he does not have the slicing tempest available, and Tarzan completely untouched throughout the duration of that fight. This is why you draft the Viego. You just have that win potential in skirmishes and team fights, especially if he's not focused. And now he's going to try and get assassination attempt onto Nuguri. He does have the Spectrum Ward, does manage to land it. Unfortunately for him, Nuguri is under tower, but fortunately for him, in the same note, Nuguri really doesn't do very much damage at this point in the game. And already, explosive fights. Fortunately, everything is relatively even, but Nuguri is going to be losing a lot. Sorry, it looks like Doing B is going to be losing a lot of CS up towards this top lane, and meanwhile, bot lane Light is still continuously just sustaining through the harass, I suppose, coming in from LWX. Has managed to claw back the CS lead, however. Now, Rift Herald has spawned. Looking at the CS, looking at the items, oh my goodness, Tarzan has his Divine Sunder already, and this is really how the fight started. They managed to pick Crisp off as he was a little bit too far behind, and Icon just calling for the all-in. Iwandi unfortunately kind of assisting in the demise of his mid laner there, and then they just all-inning. Good target selection coming in from LNG, and Ale just realizes he needs to just play goalkeeper. He needs to believe that his team can handle this situation perfectly well, and he manages to keep Nuguri out of the fight, isolating Doing B between both Tarzan and Iwandi. And the game, and good LNG, again, they're just playing so well together. And maybe this is a bit scary, because normally we have to wait until the mid-game to see them kind of start to make plays due to the way they've been drafting in the previous 3 games that we've watched. But right now, it looks like they're showing us that even in the early game, even when they draft for snowballing the game, that they can make plays happen. Now, FPX have taken the initiative, have rotated LWX up here. Looks like we're going to see a pretty explosive 5v5. Summoner spells are mostly available as in comes Icon for the harass. Chris is still level 5. Iwandi at this point is level 6, nearly has the showstopper available, has just come off of cooldown. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, on the other hand, is not off of cooldown just yet, as Tien manages to secure the smite. In comes Iwandi. Again, he does have the showstopper available, and it looks like he puts on the Haymaker, but in comes the ultimate from the affiliates, just tearing apart the rest of LNG, and FPX just able to fight as 5 so much better. Ale having trouble getting into the fight as Icon flashes in. Very nice response coming in from Chris as Doing B follows up as well. Knows that there's no more mobility left. In comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but it is not enough. And Doing B leading his team forward into the face of LNG, who first lose the Rift Herald and then lose about 3 members. I think Iwandi, he wasn't even able to get his ultimate off in that situation. He managed to get his Haymaker, but that was about it. And in spite of the lead in terms of what Tarzan has, just being 4-1, having Divine Sunder, it is not enough, it seems. As this Renekton really just hasn't had, I mean, Renekton's ahead in terms of gold, don't get me wrong, but he just hasn't had the impact that the Cannon has, just sitting on the Slicing Maelstrom. Now, in the bot side, I think that Iwandi, alright, he's just going to deny the Blast Plant. Fair enough. You are still a set, and it's still relatively early in the game, so you can afford to be a bit more brave. You are one of the stronger champions in the game, of course. But right now, Tien needs to be careful. He has been spotted out on the Tribush. In comes Icon. There is a teleport available, however, from Doing B as the rest of FPX comes in. They're flashing in onto Tien. Crisp has been left high and dry. In comes the showstopper as Crisp is just absolutely abandoned. There's nothing you can do about that. LNG moving together as a ball. Doing B does need to be careful, however. There is no vision in the river. He's going to drop the Rift Herald and scoot out of there. And LNG are just going to go back into conventional laning phase assignments. As LNG, I like what they're doing here. They're really poking, they're prodding, they're looking for opportunities, but now Tien going in onto Iwandi. Exhaust goes down. He does have the Haymaker available. Iwandi actually is so much discipline. Knows that if he turns around and tries to use it, he will 100% die. And actually just holding it, walking out with it. And as a result, I think FPX will still be able to pick themselves up the dragon. But this first dragon at 12 minutes into the game honestly favors FPX a little bit more given their potential for scaling. But Tarzan is in the area. Unfortunately for him, Tien is here as well. Chris caught out yet again, but he does have the dash to try and get him out of harm's way. Now LWX is just turning, planting his feet and looking to fight. He has 2 really good guns here with the... I'm never going to try and name them, I'm sorry. But Tien, at least, has not been able to do Dragon as a result of this. He had to peel off and try and ensure that his team was safe. But Doing B in this mid lane, picking himself up 6 kills, only 1 death, and is quite decently ahead in terms of CS. He is without a doubt not even having to look at the gold lead, the strongest member on FPX, and they are going to want to make plays around him. So I think you are perfectly set You can either try and snowball bot lane or you can try and snowball top lane. But really, the ball for FPX, the ball is in the mid lane. It's up to him to try and make something happen. Meanwhile, on the side of LNG, obviously, given if you just look at the kills, Tarzan is the man of your choice. And so far, he's been playing absolutely fantastically with Iwandi's roaming. Icon's also been having quite a big impact onto the game. And now Ale looks like he's going to get baited as he's jumping onto Nuguri. But Tien is in the area, pops the Dominus as well as the Slicing Maelstrom. But looks like the stun is going to be there. Tien does have the Crescent Sleeve available. Opts to use his flash and the dash, and every single skill shot actually manages to hit. Tien actually potentially misplaying that slightly because he used his dash before he used his Crescent Sweep, and after that Ale used his flash, so that was really close to being pretty catastrophic. But it looks like they've made their choice up, not even playing around Doing B by the looks of it, just leaving Doing B in the mid lane to be as much of a nuisance as possible, and then Tien just going by himself towards the top lane. And now LNG are in a bit of a tricky situation because your Renekton is kind of starting to fall off. We haven't even gotten to the first item point yet, it's true, and that's generally when the Renekton starts to spike, especially once he finishes his Gore Drinker. But you have to accept the fact that now Nuguri is having a pretty free time up in that top lane. The CS lead has been closed for the most part by LNG. It looks like they're going to try and make a play somewhere around towards the mid lane. There are really no objectives left on the map, and vision towards the bot side is pretty even for both teams. Deep vision is well established for LNG as well as FPX as they kind of peer into each other's jungle. It looks like there's a teleport going down into the mid lane. Tien is there to ensure that Doinbi does not get ganked, and Tarzan is here to try and look for a gank, but Doinbi is just going in trying to jump onto Icon. Look at the damage coming in as the ultimate comes through as well. Doinbi barely taking any damage in response, jumping in straight onto Iwandi. It's a 3v3 as Iwandi's brought back in with the Moonfall. Ultimately deals no damage with the Haymaker as the trio of FPX, the jungle support and mid lane, just barge through, take the tower in front of the faces of LNG, and now pushing Tarzan out of his own jungle, just leveraging how far ahead Doinbi is in the mid lane. And I'm pretty sure we can be ready to talk about game 2. Anyways, in the top side, Ale popping the Dominus, managed to get his Ruthless Predator down onto Nuguri, but the Rocket Bell is there to ensure that Ale cannot continue his assault onto Nuguri. And honestly, Ali's been playing this pretty well. Might even want to consider getting a Stride Breaker, because if you Stride Breaker Kennen after he uses his Lightning Rush, then he is actually slowed. In effect, his Lightning Rush is completely nullified. But anyways, I think next game we might want to see LNG, regardless of how this game goes, I'm pretty sure LNG are going to want to try and save their counter pick, maybe for Icon, or otherwise try and pick something like an Enchanter Spot, which can really dominate in lane and be very effective later on. But Tien looks like he's trying to be ganked up here. He does have a smite, does manage to steal away his own buff. Didn't have Doinbi in the mid lane to try and protect him, but Chris is up here as well, as is LWX, as a little bit of a lane swap coming in from FPX, trying to take out the last outer tower, leveraging LWX, who right now is relatively strong, even on terms of CS, pretty even in terms of the, between the two AD carries. We haven't seen much of them because they've just been pretty much AFK farming, trying to 1v1 a little bit. It's a bit hard for either of them to make picks onto each other, even though they do have some initiate, some engage potential, but they both have cleanse also, so Both side LWX is about to have a very, very hearty homecoming party as the sweeper does manage to catch out Chris, who again actually manages to sidestep away from the Spectral Maw as Icon jumps in to try and pick him up, I think, and face check straight into LWX. Now teleport is available from Nuguri but not from Ale, so Nuguri can definitely attend this event first. Looks like LNG fully capable, fully aware and cognizant of the fact will indeed give up this Rift Herald. And now FPX with this threat, what will they be able to do with it? Well, Dragon spawning in a minute and 20 seconds time, they can use it to siege down the top lane tier 3 tower, which honestly isn't really that important. I would probably save it to try and pressure maybe mid lane, maybe bot lane, although again bot lane is also not too important. So I guess the most important tower here for them to take would be tier 3 top lane. Actually, I think taking away the outer towers is pretty important. Now Dragon spawning in under a minute's time, so it's about time for both teams to get around their jungle and supports, trying to get some vision established. Mid lane priority of course is going to be a big importance, but it looks like FPX are actually more interested in trying to take 2 towers in the top lane in exchange for this, as Iwandi was immediately jumped onto by Doinbi, absolutely fearless in the face of Light and Iwandi of the bot lane, and the rest of FPX is coming. They smell blood in the water. Chris is leading the charge. Elderbucks is right behind him. Flashes are available for both Iwandi and Light, as is the cleanse, as the Winter's Bite actually misses. Iwandi is being tagged up by the passive. Fortunately, the slow from the volley is there, and it looks like FPX just really want to try and accelerate this game as much as possible, are going to go for 2 towers in the top lane in exchange for maybe Dragon, and Dragon has even spawned yet. It's 15 seconds time. Ale trying to set up a bit of a dive here, I think, but Tarzan is just clearing his wave, and really there's a huge lack of initiative coming in here from LNG, as they're not moving to defend, they're not really moving to make a counter play. In the mid lane, Icon has pushed in the wave, but Doinby is just looking to go in. It's a 3v2 situation, and right now LNG are scrambling to try and make it up here, and Iwandi is trying to make some plays happen, but he does no damage, and neither does Light to Doinby, who right now only has his God Drinker. Ali's gonna get something back across the map. He's gonna pick up this tower, but top lane tier 2 tower, I'm not sure if it's fallen yet. No, it's not. It hasn't fallen yet, but it is pretty much a gust of wind away from going down. And now LNG, maybe they can make a pick here, as barely missing Tien by a second. And in fact, using the Rift Herald, taking nearly 2 towers, FPX are just going to be able to reset and be in position first for Dragon. LNG kind of been caught slacking, have been caught with their flat-footed, and they're going to absolutely be punished for it. And FPX are not even interested in taking Dragon. They're just here to try and get the tower again, I suppose, or maybe try and look for a pick over here, as Dragon is spawning in 30 seconds time. Iwandi needs to get out of there, as does Light, as Crisp is about to round the corner right about now. Comes Tien, as well as Doinby. Teleports coming in as well. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow gets dodged by Iwandi. He's probably gonna have to sacrifice himself, as in comes the cannon with the Slicing Maelstrom. Unfortunately, that showstopper was rather ill-placed, as it brought the Pikachu right on top of your trainer. LWX, very nice sidestep in the mid lane, does have his flash available, will have to use it, ultimately uses it, but the showstopper is there, sorry, the Heartbreaker is there, and Tarzan alongside Icon will be able to pick him up, but top tower eventually does fall. LNG now rotating to Dragon, and Doinby realizing this, I think he's just going to stay and continue his split push pressure. Ale has been having a lot of free time bot lane to get further into this game, to get back into this game, I'm sorry. But really, a Renekton isn't exactly a huge resource for the late game, or even the mid game at this point, because he's kind of fallen off, and he's kind of liable to be getting kited about. Looks like FPX will still give this Dragon up, however, and Ale will most definitely not be able to pick this blue buff up. But Light and Iwandi are making their way up. And right now, if we look at the gold lead, 4,000 in favor of FPX, it's pretty obvious who's in control of this game, as Doinby legitimately taking negligible, negative amounts of damage. And if you look at it, he's actually building tank. Oh, wait. Doinby actually thought that would hit him, as did I. And Chris, you're just waiting for Nuguri to come in, using his W to jump forward. And then, unfortunately, very nice positioning there by Nuguri. He purposely stepped in front of Iwandi so that the showstopper, which was intended to bring him away from Light, actually brought him in towards him. And then Tien jumping in to finish off Light, using every mobility spell, every bit of CC that was available to him. But so in the end, it ends up being a 2-for-1 support and AD carry for AD carry in favor of FPX. Baron is the only objective left on the map. Finally, LNG do manage to pick themselves up the second Dragon, but yet again, this is of no consequence to FPX. They do not plan on being in the Rift when the last Dragon does spawn, when Elder Dragon, or even the, what's it gonna be? The Mountain Soul spawns in this game. Oh my goodness, I'm actually going to have to go in a few short seconds time, as Nuguri is dashing forward. Tarzan looks like he's being caught slightly out of position, but maybe Nuguri and Chris are going a little bit too deep. However, Tien and Doinby are in the area as well. In comes the rest of FPX to try and start up this Baron. They're not trying to dawdle or try and waste any time whatsoever. Ale does have teleport available, but there's no vision around this area of the map. FPX have complete control, so really the only teleport options are in the mid lane, as the rest of his team puts down a ward for him to come through. FPX not really doing too much damage, not really rushing this down too very fast, but the whole intention of this is so that LNG now fights into FPX. Nuguri does have a flank set up, but Ale is there to try and weed him off. Icon actually incinerates Tien. What happened? I wasn't watching. I was watching Nuguri this whole time, but FPX are going to start this fight out at a disadvantage, but now Ale has been caught out of position. Doinby is kind of out of position as well, and it looks like nothing is going to happen here. In fact, LNG are just going to try and leverage their position to try and siege down this tower in the mid lane. Now, they are playing a little bit scared. Doinby is going to teleport straight into 4 people, but he wants this fight as he jumps forward with the Blaze Stretch. getting his stun out onto 2. I 1D and Icon in the front lines, not much damage coming through, but Doinby is incredibly tanky as in comes the Haymaker. Doinby still following up with the Randuin slow as well. Tarzan is in the front lines, but it's not what he wants to be because of course they need for the reset, so the focus is coming in from FPX and LWX. In comes the slows, in comes the Winter's Bite. Icon being soloed out by Nuguri, and Doinby is just looking for an opening, jumps for it with the Blade Surge. Does he have the stun available? No, he doesn't. It finally misses it, unfortunately, but Light has been forced to turn around, will eventually be taken out. It looks like it's going to be another Baron attempt coming in from FPX, and right back at it, rinse and repeat. It's just like a cycle. It's like a washing machine, and FPX just gonna turn right back around and are going to look for their chance to do this. I don't really know what happened to Tien just now, but regardless, that can't happen now because Icon's going to be in the grave for 20 seconds, and this time the Baron damage is coming through quite significantly. I think FPX maybe purposely will quite lax on the Baron damage, but now then, LNG, let's see how well you can play together. It's all about, if you're LNG, making picks. It's all about trying your best to, at this point you are pretty much almost not guaranteed, but you there's a high percentage chance that you're going to lose. Let's see what happened to Tien. He was at full HP last time I saw him. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I guess Icon, you know, for all the slack that I've given him, whoa, very nice play, even flashing over the member of FPX to try and jump in and doing BUC. He wants this fight so desperately, so badly, just seeing an opportunity to jump in, and look how tanky he is with the Randuins, with the Sterox, with the first part of the Thornmail. In comes Tarzan, thinking he had a kill potential onto Doinby, but unfortunately the Sterox was there for the bait, and then the follow-up they have, just the chase potential that they have is so incredibly strong right now. Oh, FPX and Doinby are now just absolute monsters in the face. It looks like there's a bit of fighting going here, but Doinby taking no damage from either Tarzan or Ale, as Ale now dancing under his tower with the dominance. Unfortunately, he's been baited as the rest of FPX comes in and they just eviscerate him under the tower. Doinby looking for more, and looks like FPX not looking to waste any time at all. Dragon is spotted in 40 seconds, but they are not in the least interested. FPX going straight for the throat. Tien again trying to be assassinated by the Icon, but he looks like he turns right back around. I wanted trying to jump in, provide as much CC as possible, but Light is just dealing no damage to Doinby. Doinby is absolutely unstoppable, and FPX just tear up LNG. We haven't seen this level of dominance over LNG for a while. The closest we got was when RNG played against them in game 3, but right now 25 minutes into game, not one single dragon to their name without even having to use the slicing maelstrom. FPX just show up and tell LNG exactly where they stand in the pecking order. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to need to run because I'm really late for something, but thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.